Okay guys, so today we are going to see XPath. Okay, XPath, XPath. That is what the topic for today. Okay, now what is meant by XPath? So in a simple word, I'm going to explain this. Okay, in simple terms, XPath is nothing but XML path. Okay, XML path. It is actually a query language to search web elements on web page. Okay, so if you look at the XML document or HTML document, then you will find these two documents have a format of tag and data. Okay, so it's very simple format. They have tag and data like this. Okay, let's say this is the tag, anchor link tag, and its ID is equals to maybe 123. Okay, and this tag is having, let's say, sign up. This is the text or data they have, and the tag is being closed over here. So this is the format of XML documents as well as the HTML documents. Now you might have heard about the database SQL or maybe Oracle or maybe Mongo or maybe big data or everything. Okay, so let's say I want to search something from the database. In that case, what you are going to write is query, right? You will write some query to get a value from the database. So in a similar fashion, if I want to get any web element from the DOM, in that case, I need to write some query, and that query is called as XPath, that is XML path. Okay, so XPath is simply a query language to search web elements on a web page. So as we know that SQL queries have certain syntax like insert, into, these are the keywords. Okay, and then table name, and then we are going to specify the fields in which we want to place the values, and then values is the keyword, and then value actually. So this is the syntax of the SQL query, right? So here also in the XPath we have some syntax, okay, that we need to understand. Okay, now what is the syntax over here? Okay, so before starting with the syntax, let me tell you there are two types of XPath. Two types of XPaths. Okay, now which are those? So it is autocorrect. Okay, which are those? The first one we have is absolute XPath. Okay, absolute XPath, and then we have a relative XPath. Okay, now let me give you a simple example that what would be the absolute XPath and what would be the relative XPath. So let me open this. Let's say ICICI Bank. Let's say, okay, this is the website that we have, and on this website there are so many web elements available. Okay, now if I click anywhere on the page, right click on the page and then click on inspect, then I'm gonna see the entire HTML code this entire web page possess. Okay, can you see over here the this document actually starts from this tag, and its name is HTML tag. Which tag? HTML tag. Okay, and the document will end at the HTML tag itself. So inside one HTML tag we have the entire web page written. Okay, now let's say if I want to reach to some particular web element inside this HTML document, then obviously I need to follow the tree structure that HTML DOM actually follows. So if you look at the HTML document, you will come to know that HTML document and the tags under the HTML document follow the tree structure. Means they will have a one parent, one root parent, and that is HTML tag. Okay, inside that we will have multiple tags. Can you see head and body? These are the two tags are there in HTML tag. Okay, means HTML tag is having two children, right? HTML tag is having two children, that is head and body. Okay, now if you collapse head again, you will see that head tag is having meta as a child. Okay, meta tag as a child, then title tag as a child, then again one meta tag which is a child, then one meta tag again meta tag, again meta, and so on. So can you see these are the children of the head tag? Okay, then let's say if I collapse a body, then you can see over here we have a script tag which is immediate child to the body. Then non-script, it is also a child. Non-script, sorry, script, it is also a child. If I collapse script, then I can see a script over here, okay, but no tag actually. And then if I collapse this one, no script, and then we can see some string over here, okay. Then we have a div tag, okay. This is the child to the body tag. Then inside div tag, we have several other tags. So this div is having child like header, footer, this is div, and this is the div. So these are the children of this div tag. Means you can see there is a parent and several children to each parent, okay. But this tree structure, inside this tree structure, if we want to locate the element of our interest, then we have to write some query, okay, to get that element. Now we have two types of queries that we can write obviously here. First is the absolute XPath, okay, absolute XPath. And what is absolute XPath? We are going to look at that first, okay. So absolute XPath is the XPath or maybe path which is written right from the parent of DOM to the element that we want to find. Okay, now let's see. Let's say that I want to click on this login button. Okay, I want to click on this login button. Then this login button is falling under this div tag. Okay, now I have to click on this div tag. So let's say I am writing a path right from the root of the DOM to this div tag. Then that path will be called as absolute XPath. Okay, now what is the root of the DOM? HTML document. Then we are going to traverse, and we will reach to this div tag. Okay, so we have to get the absolute XPath of it. So how we can write the absolute XPath? Okay, so let me quickly copy this XPath and let us see that what it gives us. Okay, so let me write down the definition of absolute XPath first. Absolute XPath is a path from root of the DOM to the element that we want to locate. Okay, so it is simply a path from the root of the DOM, that is HTML, root of the DOM, that is HTML tag, okay, to the element that we want to locate. So in simple words, this is the absolute XPath. Now let us see what we have copied. So can you see this is the XPath that we have copied for that particular element, but this is not the absolute XPath. So let us write the absolute XPath for it. So simply write slash HTML and then slash, one more slash. Then we have to go to the child of this HTML tag, which will lead us to this div tag. Okay. Now when you see over here, we have this div tag and its parent is body. Okay, so from HTML we have to go to body tag. Okay, HTML and then body, and then from body tag we need to traverse to this div tag, which class is container. Okay, which has a class as container. So we will go to this div tag, which has class as container. So let me simply paste this, and then from this div we are going to traverse to the div of our interest. This one is the div. Okay, then from this div we are going to traverse to this div, which has id as main. Okay, So we'll go to div tag again, which has id is equals to main. Okay, from this div we are going to jump into the div of our interest. Can you see over here? Okay, let me see which is the div. Okay, this is the div that we are interested in. Okay, and its class is left panel lp3. So let me copy this and let me write this up here. Div at the rate, is that a class or id? Okay, class, it's a class. Class is equals to this one. So this is the absolute XPath for login button. Okay, login text that we are seeing over here. It is not actually a button but a link. Okay, so this is the absolute XPath, and how to identify absolute XPath and relative XPath. We are going to talk about it also in coming future. Okay, so absolute XPath always starts with the HTML tag. You should remember this thing. It will always start with the HTML tag, and it always starts from the single slash. Okay, so single slash represents the root of the DOM. So this is how you can write the absolute XPath of that particular element. So you can find the absolute XPath right in the Firefox browser also, but I don't have a Firefox browser. I have a Chrome over here. So I'm showing all the scenarios you inside the Chrome browser. So, okay. So if I write a single slash at the start, then you should understand that this is the absolute XPath. Okay. If the HTML tag is coming first, then you should understand this is the absolute XPath. Okay. Now what is meant by relative XPath? Okay. Now what is meant by relative XPath? Relative XPath is simply, it is simply a path immediate to the element. Okay. It is a path which is directly to the element, exactly to the element. Now, what can you click on? Let's see. We can click on these three dots. Okay, go to copy and then copy XPath. Okay, and then we can paste it up here. So this is the relative XPath of the login button. Now you can see over here, this is the immediate path to the element. Okay, this is the immediate path, means it is not following this path, HTML and then body and then div and then div, then one more div, and then we are landing to the login button. This is not doing like this. Okay, so this path is the absolute, this path is the relative or immediate path to the element that we want to locate for. Okay, now let us try to figure out the differences between them. Can you see over here, absolute XPath starts from the single slash, relative XPath starts from the double slash. Okay, it is a path right from the root of DOM to the element that we want to locate, but this one is the immediate XPath or immediate path to the element that we want to locate. Okay, this is the basic differences. These are the two basic differences that we have. Okay, now let us try to figure out the syntax of writing the absolute XPath as well as the relative XPath. Okay, so let me simply write down the syntax. Syntax is, okay, first I'll write for absolute. Okay, first one is absolute, and here I'm going to write HTML and then body. Okay, remember body tag will have the entire code of your HTML document. So body tag will come next, and then any tag can come next under the body tag, maybe div or one more div, and then we may have input tag and so on. Okay, input tag. Okay, this is how you can write the absolute XPath, by starting with the single slash and HTML and then following by the body, and then next whatever tags are coming into your path. Okay, that all tags we have to mention. We cannot skip any of the tag. Okay, remember this. Second option is, second syntax is to write relative XPath. So start with the double slash and then we can write the tag name. Okay, whatever tag we want. Okay, and then square bracket open close, and then at the rate attribute 1 equal to value 1, and then attribute 2 is equals to value 2, and then attribute 3 is equals to value 3 and so on. Okay, we can write as many arguments as we want. So simply this is the relative XPath, okay, which is starting from the double slash. Now what is the difference between which one is good? Usually interviewer will ask you that which of these two XPath is actually good. Okay, so I'll say that none of these is good, or maybe none of this is bad. Why? Because everyone has their own advantages as well as disadvantages. So what are the advantages of having the absolute XPath? So absolute XPaths are quite faster. Why? Because we know the exact address from where to where we lead. Okay, let's say I'm asking you to go to the Hyderabad, okay, right from Pune. But if you know that what kind of villages or maybe towns are coming in our path, okay, then it would be really easy for you to reach to the Hyderabad within specified time from Pune. Okay. But if you don't know that which kind of towns are going to come in my path and what are the actual way I have to follow, if you don't know about that, in that case, you will keep on asking people, "Are is it Hyderabad?" You will again ask, you will again go to some next town and you will ask, is this a Hyderabad? Then you will again go to the next town and you will again ask, is this the Hyderabad? Can you please tell me the way to the Hyderabad, and so on. So this asking time is getting added into your entire journey, and this is what happens in the relative XPath also. Okay, so what relative XPath does is how the query language is searching the tag that we require actually. Okay, so what will happen over here? So we will search for the tag, all tags which are having ID. Okay, asterisk means all tag. If we are not specifying the name of tag, okay, or we don't want to specify the name of tag, in that case we can mention asterisk. Asterisk means all tag, like SQL is having select all from this and this table. So this is the similar to that. Okay, so all means all tag, and then we are saying that please check all the tags which had ID equal to main. Okay, now this XPath expression will get compiled and will get calculated. So it will start from the HTML tag and it will try to compare that HTML tags ID is equal to main or not. So obviously HTML document doesn't have any ID. So it will again go into the next head tag. Okay, next tag is head. Next child of the HTML is a head. Then it will again jump on the head and it will search whether this tag is having ID as a main or not. No, this tag doesn't have an ID as main. So it will again go to the child, first child, and it will again search for this tag. Then it will keep searching all the children of this head tag and also sub children or maybe grandchildren of this head tag. So it will try to search your element inside the entire HTML document. So obviously relative XPath will take more time to execute. Okay, so in terms of execution, relative XPaths are really bad execution time. Okay, so which are the fastest compiled and executed XPaths are absolute XPaths. Okay, so here execution time will be very less. But if I talk about the relative XPath, obviously they are going to take more time than the absolute XPaths. But let's say that your project is under development and your development team is still writing the code for your project. So in that case, what happens is usually this may happen that this structure gets changed. Okay, let's say that today we have this div tag exactly under the body tag and its class is container. Okay, this class is container, but day after tomorrow this may happen that one more div tag may come in between this body and div, this div and body. Why? Because developer is still developing the code and he find that, array, I have to put some web element in between here. Okay, so he may add a div tag in between this div and this body. So your absolute XPath will not work in this situation. Okay, so being an automation tester, what is required? An automation tester should have a very good skill of writing a XPath which never gets failed, or maybe there are less chances of failing the XPath that you are writing. This is the need of today's industry. Okay, so an automation tester should be uh, qualified enough to write a XPath which may not get failed whenever the build is changing or whenever the code is changing. Okay, so in such scenarios, absolute XPath is not recommended, whereas relative XPath is recommended. Why? Because here you can see this element is actually dependent on only one element. Okay, but here this div is dependent on this body, and then htable. So there is so much dependency in the absolute XPath, whereas relative XPath doesn't have that much of dependency. So while writing your XPath, you should always take care of having less dependency of the element that you want to find on other elements. Okay, so in that case only you can write a very good XPath which may not get fail in a coming future, even if your code changes. So let's say I'm writing a XPath in such way, and maybe more elements are getting added in my project. So even though this XPath will not fail and this will work properly. Why? Because this doesn't have a dependency on so many elements. Okay, so it will be having a div tag and it's any parent which is having id as main. So in a scenarios where your application is still under development phase, then it is recommended to use the relative XPath. Okay, but obviously this will take more time to compile and execute. Where your build is very stable, okay, your project is very constant, it is not changing at all, and the development task is already done, then it is recommended to go for the absolute XPath. So this is the difference between absolute XPath and the relative XPath. Now in this course, what we are going to write is, what we are going to study is to write the relative XPath, which is very efficient and effective. Okay, rather than the absolute XPath. Why? Because this absolute XPath can be given by the Firefox browser directly. So if you go into the Firefox browser, if you click on some particular element, Firefox browser will give you the entire absolute XPath of that particular element. Or we may have some third-party libraries available for the Firefox, like Firebug or maybe Firepath. You can use those plugins for the Firefox browser and you can calculate the absolute XPath inside that. But those are the plugins for the Firefox browser. So if you are testing your application on some other browsers, so you have to have the skills to write your relative XPath. Okay, so we are going to enhance those skills of writing the relative XPath. So we are going to focus more on the relative XPath. Okay, so let us see that how we can write a relative XPath. So as we have seen, the syntax of writing the relative XPath, that is double slash and then tag name. Okay, tag name, and then in the square bracket we are going to write @sign and then attribute of our choice, maybe id, class. Okay, what can be the attributes? Can you see over here? This is the class, it is attribute. Style is the attribute. Can you see over here? Style is the attribute. Okay, this id is the attribute. Again, class style is the attribute. Can you see over here? Style is the attribute, and then here title is the attribute, href is the attribute, on click is the attribute, target is the attribute. So whatever you are saying before equal to sign, okay, on the left of equal to sign is an attribute, and at the right of equal to sign is a value of that attribute. So attribute equals to, in a single quote or maybe in a double quote, value. Okay, this is the syntax of writing the relative XPath. So you can specify as many attributes as you want. It is not compulsion to use only one attribute or maybe two attribute and so on. So obviously you can write multiple attributes, obviously. Okay, but here you can obviously use the and or functions to check with. We are going to look at them in a further discussion. Okay, so this is the syntax to write the relative XPath. Okay, now let us have a discussion of functions in XPath. Functions in XPath. See, As in a SQL language, we have certain functions. Let's say count is the function in SQL, right? Which will give the count of particular thing, whatever we are mentioning into that. So for that, we have some functions in the SQL. Same here in the XPath also, we have certain functions. So what are those functions? Let us see. First one we have is contains. We're going to have demo of all of these functions. Okay. Then we have starts with. Okay, starts with. And then we have text. Then we have last. And then we have position. Okay, so these are the functions that we have inside the XPath. So what these functions will do, okay, what these functions are going to do. So in a simple sense, let me tell you, these functions will help us to write a very good relative XPath. Okay, let's say that your some element is there. Okay, let's say this is the shop now. Okay, shop now is the button, or maybe apply online is the button on your website. Can you see over here? Apply online is the button on your website, or maybe login here is the button, or maybe personal banking is the button. Whatever you take an example. So let us take example of the apply online button. Okay, today your developer have written the code where he have given the name apply online to the to this button. Okay, but in coming future, client may ask you to change the name of this button, and he is saying, "Kyare, please make this button's name as apply for loan." Okay, apply for loan. This is the name of button that he wants to give. Can you observe over here? So you need to observe the patterns. You should be a very good observer to the HTML document as well as your entire web page while writing your XPaths. So your observation is everything. So observe here that apply online and apply for loan. Okay, or both of these strings having the similarity like apply. Okay, both of the strings are starting with the apply. Okay, so what string they are starting with is apply. Okay, or maybe if you want to write a XPath where you are checking whether please write a XPath which will find the apply online button and then it will click on that particular button. So let us write a XPath for them, no, so that we can better understand the example. So here is the apply online button that we have. Okay, now let me click on this apply online button. Can you see this is the div tag which has ID as loan. Okay, so let us try to find this using the ID. So what I'm going to write is double slash and then tag name and the attribute we are looking for at the rate ID and in single quote or maybe double quote and then loan. Can you see one of one element is finding? This is our requirement. So for each and every element that you are searching for, one of one should appear. Okay, we should find a single limit. Okay, this is the XPath that we have written. Okay, but let's say that in coming future your developer is changing the ID of this element, and this time it is loan, next time it is changing to the loan 123, or maybe something else he is giving the name. So in that case I can check or I can search the web element by its text also. Okay, by its text also. So how we can do that? Okay, so apply online is the text of this element. Can you see over here? Can you see over here we have this div button over here and its text is apply online. Okay, so how I can write a XPath for that? So let me write a XPath for that. Contains and then bracket open and close. Then inside this bracket we have to write one more function, that is text. Why? Because we are going to search for the text, and then in double quotes we have to pass the apply online. Apply online. Can you see over here? We can find one of one element. So let me just copy and paste this XPath over here so that you can better find it. Okay, this is the XPath for the contents. Now what we are looking for is we are looking for a div tag which contains text as apply online. Now contains, this function will look for the partial matching of the text. Okay, means exact matching is not required over here. And as we are mentioning a text over here, it will look for the text of that web element. Okay, so so far we have seen the syntax of the HTML tag. So what was the syntax? Let me write down here. Tag name, tag name. Okay, then attrib 1 equal to maybe value 1, and attrib 2 is equals to value 2, and so on. Okay, and then text, and then tag name, which is going to be closed. So this is the syntax of the HTML tag so far we have seen. So here what we are doing is we are searching the web element on basis of the string or maybe text that we, and this text can be seen on the web page itself. So whatever text I am giving over here, apply online, that text can be seen on this web page. Okay, so let's say I want to search for the loans and car. So can you see over here, this is the h2 tag. Okay, and its text is loans and cards. So this text actually can be seen on the web page. So if you want to locate, if we want to locate our element using the text which has been appeared on the web page, then obviously we can go for the text method. Which method? Text method. So this function can be used to locate an element with its text. Okay, so whatever text we have, if we want to look if we want to search the element, particular web element using its text, then obviously we can use this function, and this function looks for exact match of the text. It will get failed even if cases are not matching. Okay, did you understood this? This function will look for the exact matching text of the web element. If you are not giving the exact match, then obviously your XPath is going to be failed. So let us take an example of the text only. Okay, then we'll talk about the contents text. So let me write down the XPath one more time. Div tag we have, and let's say text. So how you can write the text? Okay, equal to, and then let's say apply online. Can you see over here? This is the one element that we are getting matched. Okay, and if you hover on this web element, here the web element will get highlighted. Can you see over here? Apply online. Okay, now let's say that I am making this O as a small, and let's see what happens. Okay, can you see over here? We are getting 0 of the 0 elements. Just we did O as a, just we have written O as a small and not a capital. Okay, so this text function will look for the exact match even if the cases should also be matched. Okay, this is the requirement of this text function. Can you see over here? That is what I have written for this text function. And then example, let us write down the example so that you can have a notes of it. Example would be maybe tag name. Okay, and then sorry, text, and then sorry, not comma, but equals, and then text of web element. Easy. Okay, this is the syntax of writing the text function. So it will look for the exact matching text of whatever you are giving actually. Okay, this is the text function which will look for the exact text of the particular web element that we are looking for. Okay, then let us move to the contents once again. Okay, now let's say I want to look for the partial match. Okay, partial match of the web element. In that case, I can use the contents. Okay, so whatever elements are matching, this contents function will return that element for sure. Okay, let's say I'm writing it like this, on, only on. This is what I'm writing. So div contains text apply on. This is what I was searching for, and it have given me the apply online button itself. Okay, so can you see over here, this is matching the partial text, but we should take care of the capital small also here in this function. So if I make this a as a small letter, then obviously this function is going to be failed. So in both functions, cases should be considered, and these both functions are case sensitive, so you should not forget about the cases. Okay, so let me write down the description of this. Okay, this function can be used to locate an element by partial matching of text or attributes. So I can use contains method with attributes also. Okay, it is not compulsory to use it with the text itself. So we can use it with the ID also, or maybe something else also. So let me give the example of ID or maybe something else like that. So here, can you see this is the ID and its ID name is loan. So I'm going to write down the contents for the ID. Div tag contains @ID. Okay, and what is the ID that we are looking for? LON that I have written. Okay, LOA that we have written, and we can see we can find two elements with this same XPath. So let me write down the exact one. And loan. Can you see there are two div elements which has the ID as loan? Okay, this one is the second, loan underscore mode. Its ID is loan underscore mode. That is why it is finding this div tag also and the first one also. So this is how you can use the contains method for attributes as well as for text. Okay, so this function can be used to locate an element by partial matching of text or attributes. So example for attribute. Okay, so example for attribute, let us write down this. And okay, okay, so let us write down the example for attribute, and that is tag name contains. In case of attribute, we should write @sign. Okay, this is compulsory whenever you are using attribute. It is compulsory. Attrib, comma, in a single quote, value to search. Okay, this is the syntax for writing it for attribute. Example for writing it for attribute. Okay, then let us write down the example for text that we have already done over here. Can you see? So example is already written for the text. Okay, this is the example for the text. This is the example for the attribute. So contains method and text method we can use for the partial matching and exact matching of the maybe text or maybe some attributes or maybe something like that. Okay, so these are the two functions that we have seen so far, and the next function comes in a picture is starts with. Okay, starts with. So as its name suggests, so whatever thing which is starting with some value, if you want to locate for that, let's say that your application is under development and your developer is writing some code where he is following certain standards of the coding, and he is changing the ID, okay, continuously, but the starting part of the ID he is not changing constantly. So starting part of the ID is remaining same. In that case, you can obviously locate that element using the starts with function. So let me give an example to you people. So let me open up the facebook.com over here. Okay, and let me quickly sign that out. Okay. Okay, internet is quite slow today, I guess. So I can see, you can see over here on this, we have these two text boxes up here, and we can see a login button. If you click on this login button, then you can see there is an ID. Okay, what is the value of ID is u_0_2. Okay, let's say I refresh this page. Can you see? Okay, refresh one more time. One more time. Okay, one more time. Can you see over here? It was previously u_0_2. Now it has become u_0_8. Can you see this? The ID is changing, but the last digit is only changing. Okay, previous part is remaining same. Okay, so in such situations, you can obviously use starts with function where it will look for the starting part of particular thing and it will neglect the ending part, or maybe whatever part you are specifying after that particular text, it is going to ignore that particular thing. Okay, so we can use the starts with function over here on this ID maybe. And then starts with function, we are done. Okay, so this function can be used to locate an element by its starting value of attribute or text. Okay, we can use this for both. So obviously we can use this starts with function over here. Then text we have seen. Okay, then last function is there. Okay, last function is there. So let's say that we have these many text boxes over here, and if you want to locate last text box out of this all these text boxes. Okay, so what is the last text box we have is this text box. So we can locate this last text box using the last method. Okay, or maybe last function. But this function can it is not the case that this function can only be used for the locating the last text boxes. Okay, we can locate any last element from the web page using this last function. Okay, so let me write down the description of it. This function.
Avinash, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. Avinash, can you please give me example of start with the code?
Yes, I can give that. Let me finish this up. So I'll give the example of all and every functions that we have.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Last, this function can be used to locate the last element of the DOM. Last specified element, will say specified element of the DOM. So whatever we are seeing on the current page, and if you want to look for the last element on that page, then we can obviously use this last method. So we are going to write the example of this, and the example is, let's say, input tag that we have. Sorry, forgot to write the double slash, and then input. Okay, so let me write down over here itself. Okay, can you see over here? These are the text boxes input. Okay, and it has different IDs. So we are going to search for the input tag. Okay, and maybe input tag, and all of those should be last. Last form, all of them. Okay, so we can see that 17 elements are appearing over here, up here. Okay. Mm, okay, and it is giving me 3 elements up here. input, and then maybe last. So it is showing 17 web elements here. This is the first that we got, and this is the second that we got. It should ideally show the last one. Okay, somehow we are missing something over here. Okay, but using the last, obviously we can search for the last web element into the entire web page, or maybe DOM over here. Okay, so let me write down the syntax, or let's say attribute equals to some value, and then we are going to specify the last like this. Okay, so this is the syntax that we have to follow to write down the last function. Also, we can specify the position in the same way. Okay, let's say the element that we are looking for at some particular position. Okay, means let's say one parent is having 3 children. Now first children will have the position 1, second children will have the position 2, third children will have the position 3. So let's say if I want to search particular element by its position, then obviously I can use the position function over here. So what is the example of this position function? Okay, this function can be used to locate the element by its position. Okay, and its example is, let's say this is the input tag, maybe again one more time, and attribute okay equals to some value. Okay, and then position is equals to maybe 2 or maybe something else. So we are going to look for the input tag which is having attribute as value and its position is 2. So this is the meaning of this statement. Okay, so let's say I want to search a input tag which is as the first position, input tag which is as the second position, then we have to change this count to 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. In the same sense, we can use the indexes also. Okay, so how we can use the indexes can be very useful when you are looking for some particular web element which is actually inside the table. Okay, as you can see that table tag is having so many tr tags, and each tr tag is having so many td tags. So for that purpose we can obviously use the indexing also. So how we can write the indexing? So simply write down the tag name and then specify the index. Okay, so example could be like this. Let pull it up here. Example could be like this. Let's say td tag, which is maybe tr tag. Okay, first tr tag and then second td tag inside this tr tag. So let me show you the example if I can. Okay, so do we have the tr tags? Yes, we have a tr tag over here, and we can see this tr tag is having this much td tags. Okay, can you see over here? So this input tag is falling under this td tag. Okay, so let's say I want to highlight this input tag, then what I can write is t body. This is the tag we have, so we'll start with that, t body. Okay, under this t body we have a tr tag, but you can find there are 3 tr tags which are highlighting. Now we'll go to the first tr tag among them. Now we can see one of one is highlighting. Okay, can you see over here? And inside this tr tag we're going to look for the td tag which has this email id written over here. Okay, this is the label, and then this is the text that we are looking for. This is one more label. So let us highlight to the user email id or phone number. So I'm going to write the td tag and then one this is the first TD tag. Okay, so I'm going to write the index as 1. Can you see now the email or phone number is highlighting correctly? So this is how you can write the indexes. But also indexes are not recommended. Why? Because if your application is under development and there may be a lot of changes in between the hierarchy of the entire DOM, so obviously if you are believing or maybe relying on more on the hierarchy, then obviously your XPaths are going to be ruined in the coming builds, or maybe whenever the build is changing. So it is recommended to not rely on the indexes much. So write down the XPath in a dynamic way. So what we are looking actually after is writing the dynamic XPath. So I hope you guys might have understood the functions of writing the XPath. First of all, writing the absolute XPath as well as the relative XPath, and then we are seeing actually the functions inside the XPath that we have seen. Okay, so relative XPath is not finished yet. We have so a lot more things to discuss in this. Okay, but before that, if you guys have any questions, you can ask me. Okay, so here is the example to write the starts with function, which we can write in the same sense which we are writing for the contains or maybe text. Text is okay. Can you see the text function over here? Okay, there is a equal to sign involved in here, but in a starts with there is no equal to sign involved. So you can use this starts with function for the attributes as well as for the text. That is what we have seen so far. So if you want to look for the text, then your XPath will become like input and then starts with and then bracket and then text. Okay, let's say login. So this can be your XPath while you are searching for the text which is starting with some value. Now you should remember that contains and starts with are not equal. Okay, they are not same. So what contains is going to match is the partial matching of anything, let's say text or maybe attribute, and that partial value can be anywhere in between. Okay, let's say that this is mobile number or email. Okay, can I okay, can you see over here Arial label? This is the attribute which has mobile number or email. Now I will try to search this with or email address. Okay, only this value I'm going to search with. So it is an input tag and it's area label. What was the attribute? Input tag and area label. Okay, so this is the input tag, double slash input tag, and then at the rate area label. Okay, is equals to, now I'm going to start searching it with contains at the rate area label comma, okay, or email. Am I missing the spelling? No, but the bracket. Okay, can you see over here? Now it is highlighting the one element of our choice, okay, that we require actually. So this is the element, mobile number or email address. Can you see over here, by using contains, I am matching the string which is in between, okay, in between the entire string. What is the entire string? Mobile number or email address. Now let's say that starting part of the string and ending part of the string both are changing. In such situation, you can use the contents. So it will match the word in between entire sentence. So whatever you are writing, whatever word you are writing, which you feel that it is constant, it is remaining constant throughout every build, then obviously in that case you can use the constants, contents. But let's say that your elements starting text is remaining same, okay, but the tailing part is changing each and every time. At that case, you can obviously go for the starts with. So this is the difference between starts with and contains. So if you guys have any questions on this, you can ask. So thank you guys. Thank you for your time and patience. So keep posting your questions in our WhatsApp group that we have, or maybe on our blog that we have. And good night to everyone. And thank you and good day to Priyanka. So thank you everyone. Stay coding, stay happy, and start practicing. Thank you.